Impact segment tonight. After hearing that 10 people were shot dead, 7 wounded by yet another deranged gunman, President Obama said this.
Somehow this has become routine. The reporting is routine. My response here at this podium ends up being routine. The conversation in the aftermath of it, we've become numb to this. We talked about this after Columbine and Blacksburg, after Tucson, after Newtown, after Aurora, after Charleston. It cannot be this easy for somebody who wants to inflict harm on other people to get his or her hands on a gun. And what's become routine, of course, is the response of those who oppose any kind of common sense gun legislation. We know that states with the most gun laws tend to have the fewest gun deaths. So the notion that gun laws don't work or just will make it harder for law-abiding citizens and criminals will still get their guns, it's not borne out by the evidence. And of course, what's also routine is that somebody somewhere will comment and say, Obama politicized this issue. Well, this is something we should politicize. It is relevant to our common life together, to the body politic.
Okay, now, I don't have a script here. I'm just talking to President Obama right now, okay? It's just me to him. You say that the states that have the most gun laws have the least gun violence. Your home state of Illinois has perhaps the most stringent gun laws in the country. Chicago is the largest city in Illinois. Since 2012, there have been 6,000 shootings. 6,000 shootings in the city of Chicago. There have been 1,679 murders in the city of Chicago. Many of them exactly where you worked as a community organizer. So you know the problem that Chicago has. And you also know, Mr. President, that Chicago has extremely stringent gun laws. In fact, Chicago is confiscating guns against the Second Amendment until the courts stop that. So, most of the people in Chicago say, if we have all of these stringent gun control laws in our city and our state, why do we have a Holocaust? Why? The reason is that criminals who need guns to do their business are going to get the guns because there aren't stringent penalties if you violate gun laws in Chicago or Illinois. The laws are on the books, they're not enforced. And you, Mr. President, have not made an issue of it at all. In fact, you don't even mention the carnage in Chicago. You do mention the individual things like what happened in Oregon, but Chicago is like, doesn't exist, even though this is your turf, your hometown. You're the guy who was there. So I don't understand any of that. I don't get any of it. Okay, let's get on to the issue of individual citizens having guns. The police in America are reactive. They react to crimes. They're not proactive. They can't be. There's too many people here. There's 325 million people here, okay? The city of New York, where I live, they've driven crime down, police have, by community policing and by being very vigilant about the bad guys. You, Mr. President, want to put drug dealers, big-time guys, back on the street because you consider that a nonviolent crime. Of course they traffic in narcotics, and of course they use guns. So we don't have any coordination here on the federal, state, and local level about guns. And you're not going to change the Second Amendment. I have a right to protect myself, all right? Because there are crazed animals like the guy in Oregon. There are people like that who will come after innocent people for no reason. And you're going to deny me protection if I live out in a rural area like Douglas County, Oregon, where the nearest cop is 40 miles away, I can't have a gun in the house to protect my family? Come on. Now, reasonable gun control, the laws about registration, and you can't have an AK and all of that, reasonable people say yes. All right? But if you're going to have the law, enforce it. Put some teeth into it. Anybody in this country committing a crime with a firearm, 10-year mandatory prison term in a federal penitentiary. All gun crimes, federal crimes. That'll cut down on gun crime right away, but it'll never stop the individual nuts, ever. So let's be honest here about this and stop politicizing it. Okay. Plenty more ahead as the fact it moves along this evening. We'll take you to the hospital, where many of the wounded are being treated tonight. Also, what is it about murder on college campuses? Take a hard look at that, and we hope you stay tuned for those reports.